What's good? It's your boy Fanon. Okay, man, I'm going to talk about Errol Spence Jr. and Shawn Porter and an unfortunate circumstance that's coming up in boxing a lot lately. And that is ducking. And Shawn Porter, from what I've seen and what I understand, looks like he's heading in that direction with Errol Spence Jr. I just did a live stream, just came off of a live stream that I did. You guys can check it out. It's on the channel where I kind of went off about it for a while because there's nothing in boxing that gets under my skin more than when people that have belts act as if they don't want to unify belts. And from what I can see, having listened to what Shawn Porter had said in the ring and then what he said right after he got out of the ring when he beat Danny Garcia, it seems to me as if that's the direction that he's heading. And it would be wrong of me not to, be hypocritical of me to point it out in a situation where with Keith Thurman and point it out in the situation with Anthony Joshua and not point it out with Shawn Porter. So that's what the subject of this video is going to be. Thank you very much, subscribers, for tuning into the channel. Thank you for subscribing. If you've not subscribed, please subscribe and hit the bell icon, and that way you can be notified of when we release more videos. And thank you to everybody that supports the channel on Venmo, on Patreon, and on Super Chat. It is very, very much appreciated. And also, please remember that we are looking to do a Super Chat challenge on 78 Sports TV's channel when he comes back. And so anyway, so thank you very much. And also thank you very much to guys that listen to the commercials. I put commercials in my videos but that's how we generate revenue to support the cause. And hey man, I really do appreciate it, your patience, and hope that you enjoy what they're selling. So that aside, Shawn Porter, when Errol Spence Jr. called out Shawn Porter in his video, after his fight, and he was very animated about it. Some people said that they thought Errol Spence Jr. was drinking or whatever, because it was a side of his personality that you don't typically see. Now, I can't say whether that's true or whether it's not true. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But that doesn't make what he said any less true. And the fact that he would call out Shawn Porter tells you what a bad shape we're in boxing with all this ducking going on. Shawn Porter, congratulations to him on his fight with Danny Garcia, but I've said this before, that Danny Garcia and Shawn Porter was basically looked to me to be like a competition to see who the next guy was, who had the right to duck. Boy, you start whining, I will. Sorry about that. There's going to be a little bit of a dog whining in this video because I got a new dog and it's just, God, man, this thing is the biggest crybaby. But anyway, so now that I've called my dog a crybaby, let me cry about this ducking and boxing. And so Shawn Porter and Danny Garcia, I saw coming. And it didn't matter to me who won the fight. I like Danny Garcia just as much as I like Shawn Porter. I think that they're both second tier welterweights, and they were both again fighting for the WBC title, a vacant title that Keith Thurman got stripped from because he got injured and he wasn't taking part in an Errol Spence fight. So when Errol Spence Jr. jumps up in there and tells him, look, man, I'm called just like you called out Danny Garcia. I'm telling you, I'm calling you out and I want to fight you next. Right? So let's make it happen. And Errol Spence, Shawn Porter says, looking all kind of half committed, that, okay, yeah, we can do it. His Kenny Porter looks at Errol Spence and says, yeah, we can do it. But then in the press conference right after it, he says, look, I want to make this fight with Errol Spence Jr. When we were out there in the crowd and he called me on the ring, it's not like I could say it, but hey, if this fight doesn't happen next, it's not me. It's not Errol Spence that's not making the fight happen. It's not me that's not making the fight happen. I'm not the reason. Errol's not the reason, And I'm like, really? You just going to pull up off of it that fast, huh? And what difference does it make whether or not you said it in a press conference, you said it in front of the ring, the people in the auditorium didn't hear it, but everybody watched the thousands of people that were watching that interview when you said it on Showtime Boxing on YouTube heard it. There's a chance that the fight might not happen. What happened to all of that? A super aggressive attitude with Danny Garcia when you were in the ring with Danny Garcia, who didn't even have a belt. Danny Garcia wasn't a champion. Danny Garcia, I think, might have been the first mandatory for whatever that means with all these belts for Keith Thurman. And you were all excited about getting his face, acting all out of character to fight Danny Garcia. But now you get the belt, you're all meek and modest and all that, maybe, woulda, coulda, shoulda, ain't my fault, it ain't his fault nonsense when it's Errol Spence Jr. I'm telling you, these belts are the worst thing for boxing. As I've paid, definitely over the year, I've paid closer. I've been a boxing fan for 40 years. Over the last maybe 4 or 5 years, I've paid more and more attention to the sanctioning body themselves. And definitely over the last 2 years, pretty much every move that's been made by a major championship belt in any weight class above 126 pounds, I paid attention to. From the WBA stripping Guillermo Rigondeaux of his title for losing a belt 2 weight classes above it, to the WBC with all these 2 and 3 consecutive mandatories for Keith Thurman, to every one of them. I haven't, off the top of my head, can think of something really crazy that the IBF has done, but I'm sure it's there. But dividing all of these belts up, probably Anthony Joshua. I think the IBF probably ordered a mandatory for Kubrat Pulev after the WBA had ordered a mandatory for Anthony Joshua and Luis Ortiz. Then the IBF comes right behind them and says, oh, no, you got to fight a mandatory with Kubrat Pulev. And then miraculously, when Kubrat Pulev pulls out of the IBF, then Anthony Joshua fights Carlos Takam. So that's the IBF version. But if you look at it, any of these guys long enough, you'll find this tomfoolery. But Shawn Porter, look, man, there's no excuse for this guy not fighting Errol Spence Jr. next. I've heard, I have not seen it, but people in my comment section and in the live stream today said that they heard Kenny Porter say that now they're trying to go to fighting once a year. Like, you want to fight once a year? So what are you going to do? Fight Ugas next year in 2019? Right, so you're not going to fight till the spring of next year. So who's that going to be? A mandatory? Because you got to fight a mandatory a year, don't you? Once a year. I think that's the WBC regulations, that you have to fight a mandatory every year. So you're going to fight a mandatory, and then and I'm sure Shawn Porter, being a champion, whatever his champion title is, champion emeritus or champion in recess, whatever one of these WBC champions he has, he's going to get his shot. So what are you going to you're going to take Shawn? You're going to take somebody like Ugas or voluntary next year in 2019. Then you're going to fight Shawn Porter, and you're going to fight Keith Thurman in 2020. Then what are you going to do in 20? And if you get past that, what are you going to do? Have an immediate rematch and fight him again in 21? That is just ultimate. That's just milking the belt. If that's what he said, if that's what's true, that's just milking the belt. And he's not the champion. I've said this in other videos. The only guy that is the champion in a weight division at the current moment is Alexander Usyk at cruiserweight, who's the unified champion. But the reason why I fault Shawn Porter, and don't fault Errol Spence Jr. is that Errol Spence Jr. is the one that's trying to get him to fight. Errol Spence Jr., like I said, Errol Spence Jr. is the IBF champion, went to his fight, jumped into the ring, doing the same thing that Shawn Porter did to Danny Garcia, but now now Shawn Porter wants to get all iffy about it. That's the biggest tragedy. This is the biggest tragedy in boxing. This just ducking. And now you have, what good does it do the boxing fans if the PBC has this really big contract with Showtime? He has a big contract with Fox. ESPN has a big contract with Top Rank, and Bud Crawford got a lot of money. Errol Spence Jr. makes a lot of money. Shawn Porter got a belt; he makes a lot of money. What good does all this do if the fight fans don't get their end of the bargain? If they don't keep up their end of the bargain with the fight fans? That's why, I really am a believer, man. And I really wish, I don't believe that it is possible, quite honestly, that somebody would regulate boxing and make these guys actually have to give, God dog, make it a consumer and regulatory affairs issue, where you're doing like false advertisement or something like that because you're not a champion. You're a title holder. You hold a title. You have a for-profit belt around your waist, selling yourself off as something that you're really not, because you're not the man at that weight division. You're a guy that is you're the number one. How many ranked fighters do they have between these weight classes? Like 50 of them. 4 champions. Some of these cats, some of these weight divisions, if you count the WBC regular and the IBS. So you even have like guys like Dillian White talking about how he's been in 12 WBC title fights. What? That just tells title and champion does not mean the same thing. You got people like Gennady Golovkin claiming they got 20 major championship title defenses counting the WBC regular. But yet, Murata's not the welter. He's not the middleweight champion right now holding the WBA regular belt. But Gennady Golovkin was the major championship when he held the same belt that Murata holds. Right? I guess Emmanuel Charr is a champion too. But I don't have any problem with the fighters for a situation being in place that they don't have any control over. They don't have any control over the fact that the boxing, that all these sanctioning bodies are in place and they're all, coordinate. It seems to me as if they're coordinating with, intentionally coordinating with promoters and managers to get certain fighters title fights and make sure that other ones don't have to defend them against certain people, stuff like that. Like Jesse Magdaleno having the WBA 126 pound. I think he had the WBC WBA 126 pound, W22 pound title, or whoever it is that got that title off of the Guillermo Rigondeaux dropped. But whatever, man. No, I think it's Roman might have that now. But anyway, it is what it is, man. And Shawn Porter, man, if Shawn Porter doesn't take, and this is my main point. If Shawn Porter doesn't take Errol Spence Jr. as his next fight, then Shawn Porter needs to get the same treatment as Anthony Joshua gets in the state, because he ain't doing anything different than what Anthony Joshua did. He needs to get, and he's doing worse than what Keith Thurman did, because Keith Thurman didn't have the audacity to just flat out come out and say that he wasn't going to do it. And all this fight can't happen. It's just something else. Kind of like when the WBC said that the fight between Jose Ramirez and Regis Porgray was supposed to be, they were supposed to be fighting for the number 1 and number 2 position. But then all of a sudden the WBC changes Jose Ramirez's fight into a title fight. And then Bob Arum jumps up and says he doesn't want to have Jose Ramirez fight Regis Porgray next. And all of a sudden that shit never even comes around, because Bob Arum now I guess they have the guy they want to be the champion there in Jose Ramirez, which makes the whole thing a farce, man. So anyway, it is what it is. Hey man, Shawn Porter, I certainly hope that I ain't got to make a whole bunch of videos about you not fighting Errol Spence. Errol Spence Jr., all this stuff going on with Terrence Crawford is, that's an unfortunate part as well. But I guess there can be some blame put on Terrence Crawford for, Terrence Crawford's been with Top Rank for his whole career. So even money aside, him signing with them, you could see that coming. And, it is what it is, man. But that's just the major thing wrong with boxing. And with that, I'm out. Peace.